Hey everyone, T-Sun here with Coherent, talking about another common use case for Coherent Spark, which is Coherent Spark for life and annuity illustrations. So your pricing actuaries just finished pricing a product. It's ready to start deploying all that product logic to your different systems. One of those systems being your illustration system, whether that's a homegrown system or illustration system through a third-party vendor. So typically what happens is your actuaries will give a spreadsheet that looks something like this to your IT partners or your third-party vendor to manually code into the different systems. Let's see how we do that with Spark here. So here's just the standard spreadsheet that you might be familiar with. So here's an index universal life. It's got information about the policy. It has the different product features and charges in here. And then what it ultimately does is a projection of the cash flows, and then ultimately produces an illustration that looks something like this. So if you've seen some of the other videos with Spark, to get this to work in our platform, all you do is identify what the inputs and outputs are directly in Excel. So here's an input. We use X input underscore in Excel's name manager feature. So here's X input age, X input sex, X input risk class. And then similarly to tag your outputs, X output underscore is the notation we use. So in this case, the entire illustration table is an X output, and this will be one of the outputs to the API. And that's it. All the product logic, all the formulas, all the tables, we will take care of in Spark. So now that it's ready to be uploaded, let's go into Coherent. So I'm just working out of this illustration demo folder, and I'm just going to hit New Service. I'm going to go into the folder where that IUL model was and just drag and drop it into Spark here. So now what you see on the screen is what typically takes our clients anywhere from 3 to 6 months on average to test and to code. So they give that spreadsheet to their IT partners or their third-party vendors. They have to manually code all that logic. And what we're doing is exactly that here in a matter of seconds. So it's going through the spreadsheet. There were 20 tabs. We had 13 inputs, we had 6 different outputs, and it's converting all the Excel logic, formulas, reference tables to really performant C++ code. It's going to optimize that code and make it even faster, and then host that code and make it accessible via API, which means you can call all that illustration logic from the system of your choice. So 1,765 lines of code generated, about 4.5 developer months saved. Now I'm just going to hit publish on this, and what you'll see on this next screen, on this API tester tab, is the API endpoint here. So anytime you need to access that illustration logic for that IUL model from anywhere, any system, you would just ping this API right here. So let's take an example. We have an API tester here that you can use, and here you see all of the different inputs. On the left were API request parameters, and you see the different outputs on the right, or API response parameters, including that illustration table. It says null right now, but if I just hit submit, it's going to think and calculate that entire illustration table. If I want to run an age, let's say 50 female or male, preferred plus instead, hit submit, it's going to think, and then calculate a whole new illustration table for that pricing cell. For the more technical folks on the call, to implement this, it's just a JSON request and response, a REST API. So now that you have this API, again, now you can plug this into your illustration system. Maybe they'll take the logic into a PDF or something like that. And next time in part 2, we're actually going to see how we can have clients generate their own illustration PDFs directly in Spark. So instead of just providing the logic and calculations, we'll be able to see exactly how we can build a fully functioning illustration PDF directly within Spark.